My husband always invites his friends to his house. Almost every weekend our house is full of good friends. Even though I'm pregnant, they treat me like it's a normal day and I have no problem. This weekend, Nick gave me a sleeping bag and told me to sleep in the kitchen. My name is Emma. Nick and I work in a toy manufacturing company for young children and we used to work together. He was always surrounded by his friends. He was a sociable person with a wide circle of friends. He was an introvert and I admired people who are so social and have high social communication skills. So I was very happy when Nick asked me out. I was very surprised when I met Nick. Even though I thought he was a restaurant and eating out person due to Nick's glamorous appearance, he was very frugal and responsible. Surprisingly, we spent most of our dates at Nick's relaxing house. When I mentioned this, he replied that I don't like to waste my money eating out. I prefer to relax at home, watch movies and cook. I was happy to see these unexpected sides of him. Little by little, I started to see him as a husband and it seemed that he looked at me the same way. After a year of our relationship, Nick proposed to me. Even after our marriage, Nick continued his routine and was still the center of attention of his friends, and they had fun together, went to parties and drank, and every weekend I was alone and he was having fun with his friends. Because of these weekend parties, Sandy was supposed to help me, but she didn't help me at all, and I spent the whole weekend preparing drinks and snacks and didn't get any rest. Nick did not pay any attention to me. The party continued until almost morning and Nick asked his friends to sleep there for the night and I had to give them breakfast again tomorrow morning. After the guests left, I told Nick that I was pregnant and Nick was very happy about this and said that he should tell all his friends that he is going to be a father. I told him that there was no need to do this, but he did his job and informed all his friends. They said they have to celebrate and are coming this weekend. The weekend started and our house was partying harder than the previous weeks. I was grumbling to Nick and he was saying that they were here to celebrate our happiness and I was sure there was nothing I could do about it. They came every week and I told Nick that I'm glad they want to party but I have morning sickness and it's hard for me to ask you not to invite anyone over. When I complained to Nick, he responded with displeasure, "What are you talking about? Didn't you tell me not to leave the house?" I told him that I told you not to go to the party. I didn't tell you to gather your friends and have a party at home every weekend. Nick told me I can't leave you home alone. What if I'm out and something happens to you? I told him that I understand that your friends are celebrating for us, but every week is too much, at least it should be less. But Nick said that, "Dear, we can't ignore their feelings." And he told me that we have no other choice. Nick said that I can help you and make it so that you no longer need to serve drinks and cook food. You just manage the drinks. It's another weekend and again nice friends came to our house. They said they brought drinks and I need to keep them cool and they brought food so I don't have to cook. It looks like Nick told them something. But they only brought the basic ingredients and the task of fetching drinks from the fridge and making snacks was still on me. They kept asking for more drinks and snacks and I had to cook for them and it was useless to talk to Nick. So I told my good friends that I had a very bad start to the morning and had to take time off from work due to my recent illness. But his friends laughingly told me that you have taken a leave, at least work weekends for Nick, and that you are pregnant and pregnancy is not a disease. It is better for you if you move a little. They drank so much and stayed at our house until the subway hour was over and they had no way to go back to their homes, so they stayed at our house for the night. At night, when I wanted to go to my bed, I realized that Sandy was sleeping on my bed. I woke up Nick and told him that I needed to rest, but Sandy was sleeping on my bed. He said that Sandy worked too much tonight and passed out, and I told him to sleep on your bed. Wait, I will fix it now. I thought he was going to wake Sandy up and tell her to get off my bed, but to my disbelief, Nick handed me a sleeping bag. And in disbelief, he spread the sleeping bag in the corner of the kitchen and told me to sleep here tonight. I looked at Nick in surprise and said, "How can I sleep here?" Nick said that Sandy is in the room and we are still awake, so the only place you can sleep is in the kitchen. Good thing we bought a sleeping bag. I was very sad, but I had no other choice. The next morning, I woke up to the voice of Sandy, who was moaning. She woke me up and said, "How long do you want to sleep? It's 11 o'clock in the morning, you have to wake up and make breakfast for us." I told him that last night I slept in a sleeping bag on the floor and I just fell asleep in the morning, so I was very tired. I woke up and went to the room where Nick and his friends were and saw that the table was full of dirt and leftovers from the previous night's meal. I had to collect them and make rice soup for Brian's breakfast. Sandy also came, and with the rest of their rice soup, when they were full, good friends said that it was a very good night and they had a great time. Nick agreed and thanked them for being ready to celebrate again. I realized that Nick didn't want to cancel their second party and it was up to me to disagree, so I told them that we didn't need to have a second party. The room became silent and everyone was listening to my words. At the same time, Nick addressed the others and said that he is right, let's have a party and invite the others who had work yesterday and couldn't come. His friends were very happy with this idea and told Nick that this was a great proposal and they wanted to celebrate again. Nick told me that I thought that as a pregnant woman you would be upset to be alone, so I didn't go out and stayed at home, and my friends decided to come over because they care about me that I couldn't go out. They are even willing not to drink to protect you. His friends said that Nick is a very good husband and there are not many husbands like Nick who care so much about his wife. After Nick and his friends finished talking, I said, "So, can I invite someone too?" They said yes, you can invite anyone you want. By the way, it will be much better if there are more people in the party. After hearing this permission, I went to call the person I wanted to invite. All Nick's friends came and started drinking. At that time the door rang and they said that it seems that someone who invited Emma came. Nick opened the door and saw their boss and said, "What are you doing here, boss?" I hurriedly went to the door and greeted my boss, saying that our uncle was waiting for you. I called you to come here to surprise Nick and his friends. And I explained to others that this man is my father's old friend, and since I was born, he loves me like his own daughter, so I call him uncle. Nice friends said that you had not told us about this before. Nick explained that if I said this, it would be very difficult for you to communicate with me. The boss added that besides this, I myself had asked Emma to treat me formally in front of others. The boss suddenly turned to Nick and angrily told Nye that Emma called me for help. He said that he was in trouble, that's why I came here to understand the reason for his trouble. Who does this to a pregnant woman? You have forced the pregnant woman to cook you dinner, make you breakfast, bring you snacks and drinks, and sleep in a sleeping bag on the kitchen floor at night. Nick, you don't care about him at all. Nick said my friends just wanted to celebrate Emma getting pregnant. But his friends said no sir, we only accepted Nick's invitation because he told us that he can't leave the house. Finally, the boss ended these words and said, "Shut up, it is extremely irresponsible that you party and drink in a house where there is a pregnant woman and let her sleep in a sleeping bag in the kitchen. This is embarrassing for a company that makes children's toys." Meanwhile, Nick's friends decided to leave soon, but the boss told them that they had to clean up all the mess first and then they were allowed to leave. After his friends left, the boss asked Sandy to stay. Then he said to Nick, "Do you know why I told Sandy to stay? Because of the rumors about you and Sandy in the company that you two are having a relationship?" Nick vehemently denied this, and the boss said that when I heard the news that she was pregnant, I thought it was a rumor, but seeing the pictures of you and Sandy going out and going to fancy restaurants and going to the brand mall and carrying shopping bags, I'm sure I became. Then I realized that Nick was not thrifty, but only stingy with me, and I doubted the relationship between Nick and Sandy from the first day, and I shared this problem with the boss. Upon hearing this, the boss hired employees to follow you only. They also prepared a lot of documents about you and Sandy's relationship. Sandy said, "No, boss, this is a lie and there is no relationship between me and Nick." I said, "Even when there is so much evidence, do you deny your relationship?" This denial upsets me. Nick said, "Think about our child, how he wants to grow up without a father." I told Nick, "You let your kid sleep on the kitchen floor. Stop talking about fatherhood. I'm going to divorce you. I've been patient enough. You go party for the rest of your life." Finally, we separated and I got the house and I was able to convince him to pay child support. Nick quickly left the house and went to Sandy's house to live together. Sandy was fired from the company and Nick was also demoted and finally fired. They now have to live very frugally. Their lives are always fighting over money. Although they both want to separate, they still have to live together because none of them have the necessary budget to live alone. With the support of my family and my boss, I gave birth to my child, and after a while my boss introduced me to a man and we got married. And I have never been so happy.